Welcome back to CEEN Caribbean News. It's now time to go in depth. The Global Competitiveness Report, produced annually by the World Economic Council, provides a benchmark for countries to track progress across the factors necessary to create long-term growth and prosperity. The 2016-2017 report has Jamaica ranked at number 75 of the 138 countries surveyed. This is an improvement over the previous year's rank of 86. According to the report, among the issues which continue to plague Jamaica are crime and theft, along with inefficient government bureaucracy. We delve into more detail on this topic with Chief Executive Officer of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, Dennis Chung. Welcome to Indepth, Mr. Chung. Hello, Mr.
Hi,
Chung.
how are you doing?
Well, I'm good.
Yes, I'm hearing
Glad
you.
to have you. Now, the latest competitiveness report shows that Jamaica has made marked improvement. Is that improvement reflected in the business environment?
Well, I think the report actually reflects what we have already seen in the business environment. The business environment, we have been saying for the past 2 years at the PSOJ that it has been getting better, because we have been seeing the investments being done by our members from 2 to 3 years ago. And even while we were saying it, that the business environment was going to get better, there are many people who doubted us, but we saw it. And what we're seeing now in the Global Competitiveness Report, the improvements, is a reflection of what has been done from a business investment point of view and from a reform point of view, from the legislative and fiscal point of view. So it's actually, it tells us what has happened already in the business environment. So it definitely is reflected, and we expect that the environment itself is going to improve.
Now, some of the areas in which Jamaica continues to lag include crime and inefficient government bureaucracy. In dollars and cents, how much does this affect the local business environment?
Yeah, those areas continue to be the main issues which we continue to talk about. Crime and inefficient government bureaucracy has been the top 2 items for years now. And if you look, even though we have improved in our ranking, if you look at the 3 categories, what it shows is that we have been consistently improving in the category related to basic infrastructure. But in the category relating to efficiency indicators and innovation, which is where inefficient government bureaucracy and crime inhibits us, we have either been stagnant or we have been reducing slightly in terms of our ranking there, or rating there. So it shows that the crime and the inefficient bureaucracy continues to affect us significantly. As a matter of fact, I think that crime is the #1 problem, a huge risk facing the country. And what we've been doing at the PSOJ because of that is we've been pushing in terms of our advocacy for us to address the crime situation and also the bureaucracy situation, because those things, I think, are costing us anywhere in the region of maybe 5 to 7% of GDP if we look at both of them combined.
Now, what are the major areas in which the Jamaican economy has become more competitive since the implementation of the IMF program in 2013?
What has the improvements been?
Yes, since the IMF.
The improvements have, since the IMF agreement. The primary improvement has been on the fiscal side. So the IMF agreement was really geared towards primarily fixing the fiscal side, because the fiscal accounts and the debt to GDP in particular was creating a heavy burden on everything else in the economy. Interest rates, exchange rates, the balance of payment situation. So once we address the fiscal situation and brought the debt to GDP down slightly, then what it does is that it creates more room for the government to do government business. So you don't have that pressure where there's a risk of a debt default. I mean, that is where we were in 2012. 2012, start of 2013. If that had happened, then we would have seen serious repercussions in terms of the financial markets and the economy. We're out of that now because the IMF agreement or the IMF program that we're under has basically addressed the fiscal situation. So we don't have this imminent risk over our heads anymore. What it has not done though, and what it was not meant to do, is address now the productivity and the growth issues, which is really where we need to focus, and which is really why the PSOJ is placing a lot of emphasis and support behind the report from the Economic Growth Council, because we think that if those recommendations are put into place, then we can move from the gear that we're on now of fiscal consolidation and fiscal discipline to one where we can start to grow the economy. So that, I think, should be the focus of government. It should be the focus of everyone now if we want to move the economy forward.
All right, let's backtrack a little bit to the issue of crime. Do businesses in Jamaica have a precise measure of the impact of crime? And if they do, how is this measured?
Yeah, the IDB did a study a few years ago that shows that crime actually costs the country anywhere in the region of 4 to 6%. As a matter of fact, when the initial study came out, they were thinking of maybe in the region of 2 to 4%. But crime has been such a big problem now that it really is in the region of about 4 to 6% that it's costing the country. So therefore, if we were to address the crime situation based on that report, we'd be adding 4% to GDP. Now that's pretty significant, and which is why we say that crime continues to be the #1 problem. Bureaucracy, of course, is a significant problem that costs the country billions of dollars in investments every year, because we have procurement issues, and we have issues relating to when investors come in, just getting them started. So people have moved hundreds of millions of dollars of investment from Jamaica to other countries just because of our bureaucratic system. And as a matter of fact, I was just being shown an email from an investor overseas who wants to do business in Jamaica, and he's saying that the cost of security in Jamaica is twice what it is in terms of their international benchmark. That, from that point of view, we're starting way behind the 8 ball, and this is why crime and bureaucracy are such huge issues, and as I said, cost anywhere between 5 to 7% of GDP.
Okay, now, has the Jamaican government's much touted Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation or its star-studded Economic Growth Council had any impact on the business environment in the country?
I think that it's very early. It's very early in the day, so we can't really say if the new arrangement of the Ministry of Economic Growth has had any significant impact yet. What we can say though is that the creation of the Economic Growth Council was a very good thing, because we're now having the very good recommendations coming out of there. So if that is a part of the whole plan, which it is, then we can say that we see some positive impact from there. But as the Economic Growth Council has said, and we have been saying, it's not just a matter of just putting down some recommendations on paper, because we've done all of that. As a matter of fact, the report actually regurgitates many of the solutions that we've written about. The problem that we have with Jamaica is implementation. So what I'm looking to that new ministry to do is actually look at implementation of recommendations. If it does that, then I think that it will be well suited and well deserved to be there. And that is what I think the focus of that ministry needs to be.
Now, corruption and poor work ethic were also high on the list of detrimental factors for Jamaica on the Global Competitiveness Report. Can these issues ever be adequately tackled in Jamaica?
Definitely. Corruption, I think we've been improving on the corruption perception index, but we're far from where we need to be. We've seen recently the allegations being made against the parish councils, for example, about the fraud that's happening there. That is serious corruption that's costing the country issues. However, I think that from a point of view of corruption, I think that we're doing enough in terms of the institutions we have. What we need to do is strengthen the institutions. So we're talking about the Office of the Contractor General, for example, the MOCA, the Major Organized Crime Division, Indecom. Those things, what we need to do is put more resources behind them and strengthen them to enable them to go after people in a much more deliberate way, in a much more efficient way. So I think we'll address corruption. I think many of what we see as corruption, when we talk about as corruption, a lot of it has to do with bureaucracy. From my own experience, looking in the public sector, it's bureaucracy many times that people say it's corruption. When things don't happen, people say, well, it's corruption. From the point of view of poor work ethic, that's something definitely that needs to be addressed. And one of the things that actually causes the poor work ethic is how our labor laws are structured. So employers, in many respects, the rights are taken away from them to actually create productive people. And it is having a negative effect on the workforce also, because the IDB did a study sometime last year, which shows that more and more of the workforce is becoming informal because people don't want to put anyone on permanent contracts anymore. They're putting them on more temporary contracts, which means they don't have access to pension funds in the future and that sort of thing. And the reason for that is because of our labor laws. That, I think, is a primary issue that causes the poor work ethic, because there can't be any accountability. Certainly we need accountability at the public sector level, which is going to address some of the bureaucracy too. And also within the private sector, we need to ensure that people can actually manage their labor resources, to gain productivity and allow people to make more money, if the work ethic and the productivity increases within the confines, of course, of respecting labor rights. So I think many times in Jamaica we have a problem. We move from far left to far right. We don't move to the middle, just like we've done with the financial regulations. But certainly it's something I think that we can address. I think that if we address crime and bureaucracy alone, we'll receive a significant push on economic growth. Many times the problems we have is that we focus on too many things at one time. So my suggestion would be crime, bureaucracy, and the tax environment. If we look at those three things alone, those three things account for close to 40% of the challenges doing business in Jamaica, and can say significant capital come here and cause much economic growth.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Chung.
Okay, no problem. Thanks a lot.
We were just joined on Indepth by CEO of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, Dennis Chung. The discussion surrounded the latest global competitiveness report and the major factors inhibiting growth and prosperity in Jamaica.